Having sex before you're married is like dating drunk. Like, the very act of sex has so many biological ramifications that it can be so hard to discern if the person you're with is actually the right partner for you for life, the person you should be building a family, a dream, a vision with. Because when you have sex, there's all the kind of things happening like oxytocin, which is the cuddle hormone, which makes you just want to cling to that person. And it's really hard to be able to see their character, their virtues in that moment. And then you can just become addicted to the comfort of sex, because there is, something very dopamine endorsing, serotonin, oxytocin, like all of these amazing feel-good chemicals that are the result of having sex. And what a beautiful gift that God gave us when he gave us this act, the most intimate act you can have with another person, in order to really complete the act of marriage and to, forge you together with someone for life. My friend says that sex within marriage is like fire in a fireplace. It is in its right context, it is safe, it is warm, it is great. Everyone wants to have a fireplace in their house. And outside of that, it can just go awry. Despite what all the hypersexualization and the normalization of hookup culture tells you, we are not immune to, catching feelings. Like, this whole concept of having sex without consequences is a lie. Whether you are a man or a woman, like, there are consequences, whether that is consequences to your own heart, your own soul, your body. There really are. There's this whole concept of no strings attached sex is a lie from the devil, and I will tell you why. We live in this culture right now where we want to test drive everything. We are so untrustful and we are so commitment phobic that we want to make sure we have our 28 days to return, and we want our Amazon Prime, and we want to try it now, and we want to, whatever it is. And we have brought this same consumer kind of behavior into our relationships. We want to test drive if we are compatible in the bedroom. Like, by the very act that you are a man and that is a woman, you are compatible in the bedroom, because that's how God made us. It's incredible. We're like puzzle pieces. And I think if we don't trust that, it's just really weird. It's really weird. And look, I was the generation that grew up with Sex and the City, and I wanted to be just like Carrie Bradshaw. Like, I wanted to be a journalist and write magazines and have all these amazing adventures and stories and, do it for the story. That was the mantra of those days, right? And it's really interesting because actually Samantha in Sex and the City, who is the woman who's very sexually liberated and she whatever, she was actually the character she's based on is a gay man. It's not even a woman, because I think it's very hard, and it's this kind of lie that we've been told since the sexual revolution that, women can have sex like men, or that, all this stuff, like sex can just be sex and it can just be a physical itch that gets scratched. But the thing is, it leaves scars, because you're basically inebriated. Like, when you have sex with someone, you're like, I love you and I want to love you forever. And that's by design. And I know, yes, that's probably more common in women than it is in men, but there is this feeling and there's this tie that you have with that person. And to consummate a marriage, right? That term, consummate, it means to complete. So in terms of when you get married, especially when you're getting married in the church as a sacrament, that act, that marital embrace, is the completion of your wedding, of your marriage. And this old language, it's not to be ignored. This whole equation of love, marriage, sex, children. Sex is the most intimate act you can do with another person. And it's a language that you're using your body to say, I am fully committed to you for life, and I am open to bringing forth new life through this act. And when we contracept this, because you're not having sex with your husband or wife in a scenario where you feel very comfortable to bring forth new life, you're lying with your body, because your body is saying I give my whole self to you and I'm open to bringing new life with you and I'm committed to you. But then you're using this contraception, and that's obviously blocking it. So you're your body is saying I am 100% committed to you, but then you're using this cheat, to be like, oh no, psych, not really. So, and that is painful because we speak with our bodies, you know, when we are in front of the Blessed Sacrament, for example, when we're in church, we kneel. When we see someone in need, we give them a hug. When, you know, a child needs our help, we hold their hand. When we love someone, we kiss them. Like, our bodies speak this language all the time, and sex is a huge language, and we can't lie with our bodies. And if, you know, we look at the Bible, like in Mark, it says, and the two shall become one flesh. So then they are no longer two, but one flesh. Therefore, what God has joined together, let no man separate. How beautiful is that concept of really giving yourself to another and, you know, really uniting with them. Like, you don't want to waste that on the wrong person. You don't want to waste that on the person that isn't your spouse. And this whole language, you know, like, oh, I'm waiting until marriage. Like, why don't you, you know, change that narrative to like, I'm staying pure for marriage. Like, there's something really beautiful about that. And, you know, if you have fallen before and you have a past, like, that's okay. Like, it is okay to change your mind, to change your opinion, to change your perspective on things. And I really think, even from a non-faith point of view, waiting until marriage is such a powerful way to really get to know someone, to know their intentions, and to also really be able to see them and to let that build up that anticipation and that excitement. Like, how exciting is that? And it allows that person to really be able to see you for you, and you're not getting muddled with the physical use or the, you know, how nice the physicality feels. Like, I understand that the flesh is strong and we desire that closeness, and that's not an unholy desire, but we have to make sure it's within the right parameters. In 1 Corinthians, Paul says, flee from sexual immorality. Every other sin a person commits is outside the body, but the sexually immoral person sins against his own body. And Paul goes on to say, or do you not know that he who is joined to a prostitute becomes one body with her? For as it is written, the two will become one flesh. You know, so you're making this joint union with someone who isn't your person. And you know, if this is a part of your past, like, God is so merciful and so redemptive, and every single day is a new day to be better. Like, the only person we really ought to compete with, ought to compare ourselves with, is us yesterday. And look, as I said, the culture today, it's so hypersexualized. I'll go into pornography as well, and what pornography has really done and how that can really damage you deeply, and also just like be keeping you single as well, by the way, because it's just a whole channeling of energy that should just not be going there. And, you know, we're living in tough times, but try to stay strong and pray for the graces you need to stay on this like chaste and virtuous journey, because it will be so worth it. At the end of the day, there is such a difference between love and lust. Like, love is really to will the best for another person, to will someone's betterment, to just will their good. And then lust is using them. And if you're using them for your own sexual gratification, you are objectifying them. And this brings me into pornography, because in porn, you are not able to have a relationship with that person. You know, Pope John Paul II once famously said, the problem with pornography is not that you're seeing too much of the person, it's that you're seeing too little of them. When you just see someone as a sexual object, whether you are watching them or you're actually sleeping with them, you are robbing yourself of getting to know who they are, their heart, their character, their hopes, their dreams, their fears. And of course, ethically, there are so many problems with pornography. Whether you are Christian or not, it is so objectifying, and you don't know if who you're watching it, you know, were consensual or underage or held under duress, or if they have been coerced into that work. The amount of women who, even if they are of age, they're doing this to feed their children or because they are in a desperate spot. Like, the only way pornography is going to stop is when there is no audience. And we as the public need to say no. We're not going to have this cheap rip-off of intimacy. We're not going to watch this just gross violation of human rights and human dignity and human sanctification, because we know that we're worth more and we deserve more. We deserve the full thing, and that is sex within marriage, sex in a safe space, sex that is open to bearing new life, and, you know, sex that is really a godly gift. It's such a holy desire. You know, our sexuality is holy, but we need to channel it through chastity and not lust. And you know, look at the scientific evidence of what pornography is doing to your brain. Like, it is an addiction just like any other addiction, and it actually like changes the wiring of your brain, and it can impact your future sex life, because you may not be able to fully enter into a very ordered, normal and beautiful sex life with your partner, because you have trained your brain and your body to need this very fake rip-off which you're seeing in porn. So please, if you are watching this and you're struggling with the pornography addiction, pray, pray, pray that God gives you the strength to stop. Put, you know, one of those like blockers on, like get an accountability buddy and talk to them. I'm not very well trained or well read in the topic, but there is so much literature out there to help you. And this is really the first thing you want to cut out of your life, because it just is so demeaning and it just removes you from, you know, the real world. And my whole thing is we need to get out of the digital, even though I'm saying this to you from a screen, but into the real world. We need to, you know, engage with people and, you know, just see human beings as precious, and that every single person, every single life is a gift, and to respect and treat others like that, whether you are, you know, in the supermarket, passing someone on the street, or falling in love with that person. They are worthy and you are worthy, and you're worth way more than this like cheap attempt to even try to encapsulate this beauty that is sex within marriage. And I love this concept that chastity is really interior freedom. You know, chastity is a virtue that not only single people are called to, every single person is called to chastity. Because, you know, you could get married and that person could still use you for sex. Like, you need to discern, really, really, do not just get married to be able to have sex, because you need to know that that person that you're marrying sees you as an entire person, and that they love you, and that, yes, sex is going to be a wonderful part of your marriage, but it's not going to be out of objectification, because there's still going to be chastity within your marriage. So the virtue is just really beautiful. And like I said, even from a non-faith perspective, waiting until marriage is a really good discipline for both of you to show that self-mastery and that ability to really get to know each other on a very deep level that isn't distracted by the inebriation of sex, because sex is distracting and sex is going to completely blur your vision when you're trying to really discern if this is the person to build your life, your vision, as in your shared vision, your future family with. Because marriage is not just sex, and of course, like, that's going to be a super fun part of it, an amazing part of it. It's not just about that. You need to have that companionate love. You need to be able to really be each other's best friends and be each other's ride or die. So don't let sex distract you from that. It is hard, I understand, especially when you're in love. I know that the excuse, you know, I used to think that this whole idea was so archaic. I used to think, come on, if you love someone, if you're committed to them, what does it matter? But the thing is, the fact is, and it's sad, many relationships break up after 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. And, you know, it's really marriage that is like the cementing of that ultimate commitment. So why wouldn't you wait for that? And it's hard. It is hard. And as I say, you know, there is redemption and there is hope for, you know, those of us who have a past, those of us who have fallen, those of us who believed in the lies of the world. And it's okay. Right now you can make that decision and say, actually, I'm going to wait until marriage. And that's a beautiful thing. So yes, this is the message of today, is wait until marriage, because it's going to serve your marriage so well. And quit pornography right now, because that is not going to serve you or your future marriage or your future ability to be, you know, an amazing parent, an amazing steward of like everything God is going to bless you with. So remember to, you know, use objects and love people, not the other way around. We do not love objects and use people. No, no, no. We love people, we use objects, and people are not objects. Okay, I hope that was palatable and understandable, and I'll speak to you soon.